Really, I can't believe this. It is so amazing. I'm so honored that this book won. How cool is this? I think it's super cool. I'm going to hang it up on my wall in a frame, and I want to talk about why I'm so honored that this particular book won this award and why it means so much to me. Next. Hi, I'm Heidi Tucker, award-winning inspirational author and speaker. Welcome to the Pickled Sunflower, where we can come together, make a connection, and find hope. I have always loved reading inspirational books. They motivate me. I love reading about people that rise up from incredible, terrible circumstances, and they rise up to move on and make a difference in this life. Well, guess what? Now I write the kind of books that I love to read. Inspirational books that really motivate me to lift myself up out of hard circumstances in my own life and to move forward and to make a difference. This book in particular, what a surprise. This is so awesome. Everything about this book has been a surprise for me. How I met Margie so that I could write her story, and the fact that it was honored for this award was also a little bit of a surprise. And I want to tell you about that. So this book is about Margie. This book that just won an award just this month is about Margie, and how Margie and I met is interesting. We have a mutual friend that put us together, and I called her as a favor for this friend to just say hi and to thank her for loving my first two books, Finding Hope in the Journey and Survey's Song. So we were talking just a little bit, and she said, well, I have a story too, which a lot of people say that to me, knowing that I write true inspirational stories. And I said, sure, tell me a little bit about yourself. And she began to talk about her past and kind of where she had been and what she was going through. And seriously, within 30 seconds, I was up scrambling for a piece of paper and a pencil to take notes, because I knew that this story was something that I had never heard before. Margie is a survivor of horrific abuse and trauma as a child, and that caused her beautiful mind to split into different parts so that she could survive what she was going through. As a result of that, Margie lives today with DID, which is dissociative identity disorder. That used to be better known as multiple personality disorder. She has this ability to rise up in the midst of all of this that's going on in her life and cling to her faith in Christ, to know that there's got to be something better in life than where she's been. It's so inspiring to read about her story and to really follow it along as she uncovers hidden secrets. Under normal circumstances, I generally would not be interested in writing a story about abuse. It's a little bit of a dark subject. Most of my books, and when I speak, I talk about light and I talk about hope. But this story grabbed my attention. This woman grabbed my attention. There are so many takeaways from this book, lessons to learn from her life and how she has handled this. But I would narrow those down quickly to just three that really stuck out to me. Number one, she has focused her entire life on her divine identity. She's been able to find her core of who she is, who she really is, and she's trusted that core, that spiritual foundation. And to handle all the other parts, she knows who she is. Despite what others in her childhood have told her about herself, she trusts and believes in herself, her true spiritual identity. Number two, I immediately on that phone conversation heard about gratitude over and over. This woman who has been raised in such darkness is able to look back and to look forward. The conversation kept coming back to gratitude. I heard it over and over in that very first conversation that we had on the phone. Grateful in looking back for simple things that pulled her out of the darkness. And grateful now in moving forward in her life, grateful for new things that are simple, family, beautiful flowers, beautiful mountains, things that make her happy. And she brings that back to gratitude. That caught my attention. And finally, number three, this woman anchors herself in hope. She doesn't anchor in people because they have betrayed her. She doesn't anchor in things because those can go away and come and go. She, throughout her life, anchored herself in Christ. That was so apparent as I got into the story to really learn her story so that I could write it, how strong her relationship and her connection is to Christ. It's just simply inspiring. This book will educate you. This book will enlighten you to all things DID and having to learn to live with that, why our brains do that, why they split off like that. You'll have a better understanding of that and be so inspired. I think this is the ultimate rise up from the ashes of discouragement and abuse and darkness and moving forward as such a beautiful woman who everybody around her loves. Why am I surprised that this book would win an award? Well, I feel like it was my best work that I've ever done. So I'm not surprised in that sense because I really put my whole heart and soul into it. It took me 2 years to write this book because the subject was so complex and I wanted to do it justice. But, it was a tough subject. And I'm so honored that this panel of judges would look at a book about abuse and see light and see hope. And they and I just appreciate that. I appreciate that this subject matter has been brought into the public arena so that we can talk a little bit more about it because there are so many survivors out there that it needs to be talked about. I'm just grateful that a group of people who read this book that don't know me, they're from all different religions, all different careers in their lives, that they all as a group, read this book and came to the conclusion that this was a book about light and about hope. I love that. In the description down below, I'm going to link how you can purchase each one of my books. Any questions or comments, please leave those down below. I'm happy to respond back to you. We'll see you here next time on The Pickled Sunflower.